I was born in Louisiana. I was raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then I moved back to Louisiana, where I went to Centenary College of Louisiana, and I got my bachelor's degree in filmmaking, and that's where I met this guy. And we pretty much met through our love of screenwriting and filmmaking, and that's pretty much what our careers have been since we left college. So I'm going to let Aaron take it away.
Oh, yes, I think my story starts when I was like a very small. I was abandoned as a pup, who was found by Muriel, who lived in the middle of nowhere with her husband Eustace Bag. But creepy stuff happens in the middle of nowhere, so it's up to me to save the day. And the thing is, like, I grew up rough because this man, he would always get this mask and just say ooga booga booga. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? With your whole chest, he said ooga booga booga. And the thing is that was kind of racist. Like, who does that? Who takes an African mask to be scary? But, here I am. And then, what was great is what afterwards, for a while, I couldn't, I didn't have my driver's license, and I lived in a pineapple, which was basically just a loft. We call it the pineapple, but it's a loft. I had my cat who, oh boy, yeah, most important meal of the day. I always remember singing that to him every morning. His name was Gary. I worked at a fast food chain for a minute.
And a boss who's
cheap as hell. But I did have a friend who was from Texas. I'm from Texas too, but oh man, boy, she loved her some karate. My bad, karate. But yeah, so that's basically my life. I grew up, watching a lot of TV, reading comics, and drawing, doing artwork. But enough about me, enough about you. Let's talk about white mediocrity winning today in Hollywood. So, the thing I really want to talk about is that what a lot of people kind of get on, but they don't really talk about, is how Living Single was basically stole strictly top to bottom for Friends.
That is absolutely true, because Living Single came out a year before Friends on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And Queen Latifah even said on the late show with James Corden that the president of NBC pretty much was a fan of Living Single, and so Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was 6.
Mm-hmm.
Martin was 6.
Yeah.
Martin was 6.
Mm-hmm.
Living Single was 5.
And Friends was 8. Still short. Mm-hmm. They shortened the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of shit that I don't like. I think I like Friends. It's a fine show. It's funny to look at white people.
Living Single is funnier.
But Living Single is much, much, much funnier. Like Kyle singing high pitch.
Max the Maverick.
Okay, Khadijah don't need you. Like, come on.
And then Regine with the wigs. And then Sinclair.
Woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. Like, come on. Like, we know people like that. And I think that's what's really funny. In Friends, if you live in Texas, even if you're white, you don't know a Joey. Mm-hmm. Everybody's Chandler or Ross. Nobody wants to be around Ross. Mm-hmm. But everybody wants to be around Kyle. Mm-hmm. You see? Everyone wants to be around.
They're more likable. The characters in Living Single way more likable than the characters in Friends. And it was way less problematic than Friends episodes. Because every time I see a BuzzFeed article pop up, like 15 problematic things about Friends that that did not age well.
Right. So let's just talk about the 90s culture, period. I think going all the way back to New Jack Swing is when we really came into our own in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Because you had your crooners, you had your before that, you had your New Editions, doing Popcorn Love and, the Jackson 5 ripoffs, which was still great. Love New Edition. Don't start, y'all. But I think the 90s, when it started with New Jack Swing, or even a little before that, when Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis came into the picture, I think that's the culture, and I think that's what makes Living Single so great, to kind of, bring it all back together.
Theme song. Every time you hear the theme song, you gotta sing
a 90s kind of world. Like,
I'm glad I got my girls.
Keep your head up. Come on. Yeah, no, let me stop on the Keep Your Head Up, because Keep Your Head Up by Pop.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. That's the 90s. And I can go into a whole astrology breakdown of what made the 90s so great. It's mostly Neptune influence. Next time, y'all. But, it's something about that culture. And I think when I say culture, just the whole feeling of anything's possible. We still have that, I'm talking about black people, by the way. Anything is possible, especially now, because you have Black Lives Matter, you have all these different movements. But it's something about the unity of the 90s. There goes that Queen Latifah, UNITY. So I really appreciate, that era. It's something about the music, the Pan-Africanism, everyone actually trying to embrace who they are and not
promoting HBCUs. You saw HBCUs pretty much on every black sitcom in the 90s.
Right,
you saw it.
Right. People want to, sitcoms, they want to educate you, especially black sitcoms. They want to educate you on drug usage, gun violence, homophobia, especially on Rock, which was an amazing show. Talk about, of course, racism, because that's, everyday lives.
One of the best episodes about that was A Different World.
Yes, Cats in the Cradle.
Cats in the Cradle. Yep.
Cats in the Cradle. I remember first seeing that when I was 9. I was born in 92, by the way, y'all.
Same.
Same. Don't.
We 90s babies.
Yeah, don't.
We 90s babies. Don't try to play us.
Don't try to play us. But I remember seeing that, and I just always remember Dwayne getting on that man who will not be named, because he's, he played his character a little too well, and we all know why now. But, him saying that he's an educated black man.
Your worst nightmare.
Let's talk about Different World for a minute. This is, okay, so basically this episode is us geeking out about the 90s.
Let's do it.
So, okay, black sitcom. We went from Living Single. Let's jump to Hillman College. Okay.
Gotta roll up my sleeves for this one.
This girl...
HBCU grad.
No, she's an HBCU princess. Don't play with them. Okay, your lineage goes all the way back. Don't play.
It does. It's very strong. On both sides of my family, we attended. Scratch that. My father always said, if you graduate from somewhere, say you graduated, not you went. I graduated from the illustrious Gremlin State University, along with my grandmother, who was a professor there in the history department for over 40 years. My mom, my dad, aunts, uncles, my other grandmother, Granny Laura, she went there too. And on both sides of the family, the Gremlin blood is strong. And A Different World really encapsulated what a HBCU really is. Because if you really watch Different World, all the students, especially when Debbie Allen took over in season 2, all the students were really into their studies. Even though some of the characters, they tried to make the character slip academically, but for the most part, they were students. They cared about the academics. They cared about where they wanted to be. After they graduated, and nobody showed that more than Dwayne.
Yeah.
In the involvement of these characters, this college, specifically Hillman, shaped who they were. And I just really appreciated that. And the crazy thing is, I really didn't understand A Different World until Aaron just, was just talking about it. He's like, Avia, watch it. Well, because I saw episodes when I was younger. He's like, watch it. And it's funny because that summer, You stayed with me for about a month. And, when I tell y'all, I, was consumed in it.
You binge. Binge isn't even the word.
We would just sit on the couch for hours when we didn't have to work, just watching a different world. And
breaking it down.
Everything. And they just don't make shows like that anymore. And Debbie Allen, God bless you for being the captain and taking it over, because without you, it Debbie. Never would have been the hit that it was. Yes. So
Queen Debbie. Queen Debbie, you are, I just, you know how I feel about Different World. I think that show, even with the associations that it has, we need more shows like that. Grown-ish is trying, but there's something they're not doing. I don't know, it's maybe not going to certain places, and even when they do, it doesn't feel as genuine. But that comes down to, I'm not going to talk about it on this episode. not this episode. Don't do that, Aaron. But I just feel like we have to go, writers, we're both writers. So when I say this comes from a place of love, and also telling myself that you have to be willing to go places that you don't want to go. You don't want to acknowledge, because there are some episodes of Different World that, let's be honest, they're talking about the community itself. They're not to educate white audiences. It's to create more dialogue in black households. And I think that's why it was so unique for me, because if I saw an episode, I wanted to talk about it with my parents, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm glad you finally want to talk about this." Dum 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 dum. I think another show that did that very well was Fresh Prince.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Just across the board.
Because Fresh Prince is one of those, they hit, several hard-hitting topics like race and, things like that. But it was just one of those things, just one of those shows that made you feel like you could be cool and be funny.
Who's your favorite character?
Ashley's my favorite. She's my favorite. Yeah, Ashley's my favorite. She's my favorite. Because it's like, I feel for Ashley, because I'm not Hillary. I'm not a prissy, expensive type of person. I'm not materialistic.
That give me $500.
That's not me. That's not me. I really, really feel for Ashley, because she was this young girl, she developed into a young woman by the end of the show, and I'm like, and it shows our character development, because we all grow at some point. We all, we're not a kid, we're not kids anymore. We have to really focus on growing up. And, as a kid, I always appreciate that, especially that episode in particular when Ashley goes on the date. And Will pretty much tries to sabotage her date with this guy who pretty much is like a younger version of Will. And she's like, well, maybe I like cheese.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. Obviously, I think one of my favorite episodes, of course, is when Will's dad comes back. How come you don't want me no more? Right in the heart. Another really good one. See, I'm about them deep episodes, y'all. The hilarious ones are hilarious, but the one where Will and Carlton were trying to get in the black fraternity, and one of them basically told Carlton he wasn't black enough by their standards. I think that's something we don't talk about enough. And to have Fresh Prince, especially in the 90s, want to talk about that and even tackle Ebonics. I think what really worked with Fresh Prince is it's talking about classism within the black community. You have Vivian, who, especially First on Viv.
Love you on First on Viv.
Come on. But it's she came from not nothing, but she had to work, and so did Uncle Phil. But through education, they rose to the occasion, and their kids are second generation wealth. And then here comes Will, who is we all had that one cousin, y'all. Don't play. We all got that one cousin. And if you don't think you have that one cousin, you are that cousin. Trust me. Trust me.
We all have one.
Okay, but if we don't, you that cousin. But we all had that cousin like Will, who was just like starting stuff, and getting one little fight and their mom got scared and moving with y'all
Auntie and Uncle Bel-Air.
you know.
I know.
And it's like having him be the center, even with it being Will Smith, him being at the center and be that fish out of water works because. We all, that's a classic story, but with a black family. Oh no, my favorite episode is probably when Will and Carlton get pulled over.
Yeah. Season 1, I remember that episode.
And it was like, oh no, honey, we finna have a problem.
She takes her earrings out.
Yeah, but like that, and then that whole thing between Will and Carlton where they're like, yeah, it was wrong to get stopped, but Carlton keeps saying, I would have stopped if I was a cop. And it's like,
Or the MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park!
Oh, yeah. None of y'all going to MacArthur Park. Well, hold up. Sit down.
Yeah.
That was
There was just something about the first Aunt Viv that just... Because we all have either that aunt or she's our mama.
Right.
Like, she is like...
Right. Oh, my mom was basically Aunt Viv.
Like...
My dad's basically Aunt Viv.
I mean, the second Aunt Viv was great.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. She was great. But it's just something about Janet's interpretation of the first Aunt Viv that just...
And she was a professor. She was a professional dancer, professional singer, a professor. When she schooled Will on Malcolm X, like when she said, "You may wear that hat and you may have that poster, but if you don't know what he's talking about, you can't be rocking like that." Oh,
it's true though.
Yeah,
it's true though.
Yeah, they even talked about fat shaming when Queen Latifah was on there. When she played Will's date. And Will didn't want to, associate with her because she was a big girl. Like, just, I think the funniest episode was when Tisha Campbell was on there. She had all that fake stuff. She was like, "Oh, you need now? Here." Like, and it was like, oh. It's just moments, just a lot of moments.
And it's kind of these types of 90s shows really just, if you look at a lot of black shows now, they don't necessarily try to copy it like verbatim, but you can see it's definitely that type of writing influence.
Right.
And growing up, it's like, well, it was a commentary on pretty much black culture, and we, as writers, we want to take that what the 90s have given us and take it a step further.
So, who do you think, as of today, does that best? If you can think of any. It's a good question.
It is a very good question. I feel like...
The Tonight Show with Aaron Johnson.
I feel like, as far as... There are really two shows right now that really speak to what black people really talk about. That's Insecure. Insecure definitely has that millennial black female commentary that needs to be said that has not been said. And Issa does a great job of really truly representing black women who haven't been represented, like her show Awkward Black Girl. Like, I am an awkward black girl. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am an awkward black girl. And to see, someone who being not necessarily awkward on purpose, but just that's just who she is. Because sometimes I say some weird stuff and people look at me like,
so you're Sagittarius rising.
Yes. For people who don't know, I'm a Leo. My sun sign is a Leo, my moon sign is a Gemini, and my rising sign is a Sagittarius. And also, Dear White People.
Oh, yeah.
They really do a good job of really getting to the things that other shows do not talk about. And I'm just, sometimes when I watch Dear White People, I'm like, you're saying exactly what I'm thinking. To where, like, these shows like Grownish and all these other shows sitting around black, I won't say black youths, but, young black adults that aren't said, that need to be said.
So do you think the reason why Insecure and Dear White People go there? And is it because, do you think it's because it's not on network? Not on.
That is a very big possibility because I don't want to say Netflix and HBO are like just not, they're not as restrictive as, as these cable networks, but I feel like they definitely give their creators a little bit more space to where,
Yeah.
a little bit more creative freedom to where, it's not like where, let's be honest, because Insecure or Dear White People definitely would not be on NBC, ABC,
no.
CBS.
It's too black. It's too black.
They would not be on there. And, now streaming is the best place for a black creator because they know that people will eat this content up. And I just feel like if I had to make a show, let's speak this into existence.
I'm saying, when you making the show.
When I make this show, I will probably most likely put it on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I would definitely want to put it on a streaming service.
Yeah. I think let's go ahead and jump to the other issue as well about Hollywood dealing with streaming. Great segue, by the way. Haha. See what we did there. But I think that streaming is the future. Whether we like it or not. We can still have cable, we can still have networks, but I think streaming, as far as like big series, continuous story, streaming is the only way. Because nobody, it's a gift and a curse. It's a double-edged sword because everyone's attention span is so short now. We can't wait a week for the next episode. We just can't. Look at movies like where people are leaking them like left and right. Like, the leaks are not plugged up. And it might as well just be a river at this point. Right. Oh, wait, a stream. I get it. I get it. It's a stream from the leaks. Okay. But, I can watch very old shows, like going back to the 90s shows. I can watch old shows that I can't find anywhere else thanks to streaming. And I can watch them, like how we've been in a different world. Like
and I hate that Netflix took it off.
Yeah, y'all wrong for that. It's not even on Peacock, y'all.
It's nowhere to be found right now.
But y'all paid an arm and a leg for Office. Okay. Nothing but Caucasians, NBC. Used to be nothing but Cosby. It's nothing but Caucasians now. How about that? Still love This Is Us, by the way. You guys are doing great.
Yes, Kay?
Yes, you guys are doing great. Kay O'Yegan is who she was referring to. You're doing great. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the caucasity of the NBC variety. But, I think streaming is such an issue in Hollywood with more of the big wigs. More of the people who make the rules because they know they're losing credibility.
Because they're not making stuff that people want. They're not.
Right.
Networks aren't really making shows that people want to watch.
Right. And even film.
Even in film, and it's like, all right, how many times do I have to watch procedural with either a white man or a white woman with maybe a black male partner?
Oh, so you tired of them Dick Wolf shows?
Now, don't get me wrong, Law and Order. I love me some Law and Order. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
But it's just, I'm tired of procedurals. And it's just like, let's change it up. Like, that's pretty much what NBC is now. Is like, you may get some of those great comedies, like back into the early 2000s, 30 Rock. And then then you get Parks and Rec.
Right.
Then you got Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And like and then Superstore, like you get these like great comedies, every now and then. But it's either procedurals like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Law and Order SVU, FBI, and like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And then you get some other good shows too, like This Is Us, You get some great shows, some
Right.
gems like This Is Us, and then you get good like gems like Good Girls. If you haven't seen Good Girls, please watch it.
Yeah.
Good Girl, like you get good shows every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
but then there are some that they put on that they get canceled.
Yeah.
That are actually really good, and it's like Lucifer got canceled like 3 seasons on Fox, but when Netflix picked it up, they gave it season 4. Then it said season 5 is going to be its last season, and then look, because people loved it so much, they gave them 1 extra season.
See, if Netflix was around in late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of great shows would still been, going, like New York Undercover.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Only Dick Wolf show I love at this point. Love me some Law and Order, but New York Undercover, for those who haven't seen it, it's
good.
Amazing.
It's really good.
Like, you have a Black and Latinx, buddy cop series, and it's about the streets, it's about the struggle. Like hip hop and R&B is the soundtrack. We're gonna have to have a whole episode about New York Undercover, because I think the progression between the first season to the very last is a perfect representation of what's wrong with how they do black media.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect representation, black and brown media.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of going back to what we were talking about, I think streaming would have saved that. Streaming would have absolutely saved. Well, it did say Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but more shows like that, like we would have had more Girlfriends seasons. Girlfriends should have went on as long as Frasier.
Right. See, and going back to what we were saying
Like
earlier.
Mediocrity. I love it.
Frasier. Love Frasier.
Hilarious.
Frasier was 11 seasons. Friends was 11 seasons. Big Bang Theory, 12 seasons. I'm like, okay, so they get all these seasons, but why was Different World only 6 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Why was Lucy 5? Why was Fresh Prince only 6?
Why was Martin 6?
And it's
or
just
5. Well, we know why that was,
right.
but still,
It's just disheartening knowing that this great black content of the 90s really got pushed aside. And I mean, they're classics now. I mean, and it's still live episodes to to watch, but it's just like, why can't our content be on air for that long?
Yeah.
And it's kind of disheartening as a creator, because I can make, it's possible to make 11 seasons of something, but yet knowing that I'm a black creator, it might not last that long.
Yeah.
Cause like with Scandal, like Scandal had a black lead on ABC, and it only lasted 7 seasons.
Right.
How to Get Away with Murder had a black female lead, and it only lasted 6 seasons.
Insecure, even though it's only
It only has 5.